जय गोपी चित चोर प्रभो, जय जय माखन चोर, जय जय माखन चोर। श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की। उपस्थित भगवत कथा अनुराग
Hare Krishna.
पधारे हुए भक्तवृंद,
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Gauranga. Please accept
शोभित करने वाले
my humble obeisances. I extend my heartfelt gratitude
श्री राम अवतार गुप्ता का
and warm welcome
समग्र गुप्ता परिवार
to all the senior Vaishnavas of International Society for Krishna Consciousness.
फेसबुक यूट्यूब आदि के माध्यम
I also extend my greetings and welcome
इस कथा का श्रवण करने
to all the devotees who have gathered here on the Zoom platform and who also join us both offline and online in both the languages, English and Hindi, on platforms like YouTube and Facebook. I also extend my heartfelt gratitude and warm and special welcome to the Sharma family who have organized this beautiful 309th Katha in the loving memory of the departed souls and the ancestors, especially Shri Amar Chandra Sharma, Mata Asha Sharma Mataji, and her entire family who have organized this beautiful Katha, and her entire family from United States of America, her daughter Anjali and son-in-law Sanjay, her daughter Vandana and son-in-law Kshitij Bhai, her daughter Monica and her son-in-law Akhil ji, and also son Gaurav and her daughter-in-law Shreyasi, and the grandchildren Aishwarya, Tushar, Harsh, Ahana, Urmika, Sahil, and Arush. I also extend greetings and welcome to all the devotee guests of Sharma family. So I welcome each one of you to the first day Katha of 309th Katha. Hare Krishna, Radhe Shyam.
वैसे तो यह कथा 3-4 वर्ष पूर्व होने वाली थी,
So you see, this Katha ideally was supposed to be organized almost 3 to 4 years back.
अमरचंद शर्मा का निधन हुआ,
Shri Amarchand Sharma left this material body, and at that time,
दुखी था,
our Asha Mataji, she was very much grievous at that time.
पावन स्मृति में
And in the loving memory of her husband,
का आयोजन करने का उन्होंने बहुत बड़ा बीड़ा उठाया।
she had taken the resolve to organize the beautiful Bhagvat Katha.
इस्कॉन दिल्ली, इस्कॉन पारसारथी में बहुत सुंदर और भव्य कथा का आयोजन
And she got organized by Asha Mataji and the entire family at Sri Sri Radha Parthasarthi Temple in Delhi.
अब वो कारण क्या है वो तो ईश्वर ही जाने। मैं और आशा माता जब ईश्वर के पास जाएंगे तो पहला प्रश्न यही पूछेंगे कि भाई वो कथा क्यों नहीं हुई।
But somehow, for reasons best known to Supreme Personality of Godhead,
3-4 वर्ष पूर्व
the Katha 3 to 4 years back could not be organized.
बहुत अच्छे से हुई, लेकिन हमारे द्वारा वो भागवत कथा,
Though the Katha was organized, but
तब से आशा माता के हृदय
Govind TV could not sing that Katha, could not narrate that Katha. So perhaps Asha Sharma Mataji and I would reach the Supreme Personality of Godhood aboard Sri Krishna's abode. The first question that we would ask to Lord is, what was the reason? So anyhow, Monica Mathi, her second daughter, you see, she had this question that what has happened to my mother? Why is she always listening to Govind TV's Katha every time, Lal Govind's Katha every time? Then you see, Monica Mataji, she inquired further and investigated as to who is listening to. So you see, I feel this family already is quite blessed and spiritually elevated. So Monica Mataji also got an inspiration and also an addiction to listen to the Katha, and eventually the entire extended family, full family, started listening to the Katha and also not just being a part of it to listen to the Katha, but also organizing the Katha. So you see, dear devotees, the body that the material body of the host family, if you see, though they hail from Gujarat,
मैं कई बार सोचता हूँ कि ये पाकिस्तान वाले सोचते हैं कि हमको कश्मीर मिल जाए, कश्मीर।
sometimes I wonder that
उनका सोचना जायज था जब तक कांग्रेस का राज था,
that if ever they could get Kashmir,
के आने के बाद तो उनको ये सोच छोड़ ही देनी चाहिए, ये मेरा मत है।
perhaps they had hope as long as some other party was ruling, but then with the current setup, perhaps it is absolutely impossible for this kind of thought to materialize.
પિતૃ પક્ષ પૂરો થાય એટલે પછી નવરાત્રી આવે, પછી બળદેવ ભાઈ ભજન ગાય નવરાત્રીમાં, આપણે ત્યાં માતાજીના ભજન ગાઈએ ને, એમાં એક ભજન તમને યાદ હોય તો આમ એકદમ જૂનું ગીત, પાવલી લઈને હું તો પાવાગઢ ગઈ તી, ગાવ તો જરા, પાવલી લઈને હું તો પાવાગઢ ગઈ, ભાવથી ગાવ, શબ્દ શું છે, આપણું જૂનું ગીત, આપણે આમ લગભગ બધા ગુજરાતીઓને આ ખબર હોય, પાવલી લઈને હું તો પાવાગઢ ગઈ હતી, અને પછી શું આવે, પાવાગઢ વાળી મને દર્શન દે, આમ 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 દર્શન દે, અને દર્શન ન દે તો નહીં તો મારી પાવલી પાછી દે. હવે તમે જુઓ આપણા ગુજરાતીઓની લીલા, તમે જુઓ, એક તો પાવલી લઈને પાવાગઢ જવાનું, એક પાવલી એટલે 25 પૈસા, એક તો 25 પૈસા લઈને પાવાગઢ જવાનું, અને પાવાગઢ જઈને પછી પાવાગઢ વાળીને કહેવાનું કે આલે પાવલી અને મને દર્શન આપ, અને જો તારે દર્શન ન આપવા હોય તો મારી પાવલી મને પાછી આપી દે. હવે જે દેવતાઓ પાસેથી નહીં પાવલી પાછી લઈ લેતા હોય, એ મોદીજીના રાજમાં પાકિસ્તાનને કાશ્મીર જોતું હોય, એની 21 પેઢી આવે તો કાશ્મીર ન મળે. खैर मैं कहाँ पहुंच गया, मैं ये कह रहा था कि जन्म तो
point that I was trying to get across, that though this family was born in Gujarat but brought up in Mumbai, but you see, Mumbai, as it is called, as a city of illusion and Maya, and Calcutta is the city of goddess Kali. But when it comes to the city of Delhi, it is said Delhi belongs to Heartful. Delhi belongs to Delhi. पंकज प्रभु के द्वारा ऑर्गेनाइज हुई थी, तब मुझे थोड़ा थोड़ा तो पता So you see, I do also have a understanding and feel that Delhi belongs to those who are heartful. But when you see, when I got to see Ashu Sharma Mataji, that I got 100% confirmed that Delhi does belong to heartful, though she's running successfully 70 plus, but that she's very affectionate and loving a devotee. She has immense love, affection, dedication, and devotion towards the Lord. So you see such hosts when we get privileged to meet such hosts, you see, then listening to the katha or narrating the katha, there is a special charm and experience and bliss that anyone can experience. So Mataji is there in Delhi, and her daughters and her sons are all settled in US. So you see, because the katha is for California time zone, so it does become a little late at night over there, but we all shall manage. In the previous kathas, so in International Society for Krishna Consciousness had been laid the foundation by Srila Prabhupada. And one of the unique feature of Srila Prabhupada's foundation and organization is that devotees look forward to celebrate some or the other festival day in and day out, that they need to celebrate festival. And you see, this is the symbol and sign of a pure devotee. You see, in Brij Vrindavan, as soon as a child is born after a year, the birthday is celebrated usually. But you see, when Krishna crossed the third month of his age, Brajvasis saw and realized that Nakshatra planet, Nakshatra, Rohini is there. So they celebrated 3 months of the birth of Sri Krishna. So you see, this is nothing but a character and a unique feature of a devotee that anyhow, in any case, they look forward to celebrate the festival. So you see, in the previous katha that we celebrated and that we heard till 28th of September, we celebrated what? We celebrated a festival. Books are the basis week. Means the texts, the books are the foundation pillars. So you see, Iskcon celebrated one entire full week of celebrations. And you see, during this festival, Srila Prabhupada, who had started this campaign for book distribution, so in the last week, 540 million books got to be distributed in the entire world. Imagine the number 540 million books. You see, these are the registered number in BBT, 540 million books. Forget about off the record distribution of books. So, by the mercy and blessings of Srila Prabhupada, 540 million books have been distributed on the occasion of Books at the Basis Week. So, you see, this festival just got concluded yesterday. So let us also take the opportunity and privilege to understand this campaign of Srila Prabhupada and offer our humble obeisances to the campaign. If I was to question you, what is the foundation of Dharma? So, what is the basis of Dharma? So, you see, some of you might say that temples are the basis of Dharma. If temples are there, Dharma would be introduced. If it is for temple that the Dharma would be spreading and propagating. If this was your answer, I would say that this is a wrong answer. Dharma does not have temples as its foundation. No doubt, the temples make it easy for the people and devotees to follow Dharma in a simpler way, in an easier way because of temples. But if you go deep and attempt to understand Dharma, you see, temple is not the foundation or the basis of Dharma. The conclusive answer for this question, what is the foundation of Dharma? So the answer is the philosophy of Dharma itself is the foundation of Dharma. The principles enshrined in the Dharma are the foundation of Dharma. So principles and philosophy are the foundation of Dharma. Dharma stands erect, Dharma stands upright because of the philosophy and the principles. So if you go look back and see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not lay any foundation to any temple. What did he do? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu transferred his knowledge to Rup Goswami and gave the order that you go to Brij Vrindavan and write the text, Bhakti Rasamra Sindhu, etc. Sri Sanatana Goswami met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and for 1 month, you see, the knowledge was delivered on the banks of River Ganga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu orders Sanatan Goswami to go to Brij Vrindavan and said, go and write the text. Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas, a very elevated text, was created and written for the benefit of the mankind this way. So the basis and the pillar of Dharma is philosophy and principles which are enshrined in the text. Dear devotees, these texts are specially meant for the people of Kali Yuga, the devotees of Kali Yuga. And you see, if these devotees, if the people of Kali Yuga do not go through these texts, then certainly this would be a sort of sin and an offense. See, until the age of Dwapar, there never used to be any text of Dharma. See, in the age of Satyug, Treta, and Dwapar, there was no text of Dharma. The reason being, the people used to be extremely intelligent and sharp memory. So when they would go to Gurukul and Guru Maharaj would recite and narrate the text, they would absorb and imbibe and they would be able to remember for all times to come. But in the age of Kali Yuga, people do not have such strong memory power. And not just memory, but also their age is lesser. So, short age and also the memory being short. So, in the age of Kali Yuga, you see, such short is the memory of the people, of the mankind, that they would even not be able to recall what was the meal that they had day before yesterday. Then on the top of it, imagine how can they be able to remember and recall what are and the different principles enshrined in the texts of Dharma. And it is for this very reason. See, the context that what we are talking about is the conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatan Goswami. So this conversation actually is between Sanatan Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
स्वतस्मृति ज्ञान माया मुग्ध जीवे नाही स्वतस्मृति ज्ञान जीवेर कृपाये केल जीवेर कृपाये केल कृष्ण वेद पुराण माया मुग्ध जीवे नाही स्वत स्मृति ज्ञान। श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु सनातन गोस्वामी से कहते हैं,
Sri
सनातन
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes on to say to Sanatan Goswami, O Sanatan, the living entity who are bound by Maya and illusion, by themselves they cannot have this knowledge. And if anyone would narrate them, they would not be able to remember. So they would certainly forget for sure. But just in case such narrations are put in black and white, then you see such things in black and white can always be read. And that is the reason Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes on to say that Lord Krishna, in order to liberate the living entity of Kali Yuga, Sri Krishna took the incarnation of
को उन्होंने ग्रंथों में उतारा
and the Shastras, the texts which had been there in the form of memory. So those texts were transformed into black and white, and these Shastras were brought to life. And in order to further bring to life this attempt of writing the Shastras, Lord Krishna also brought his all associates to write these texts and Shastras. Rasha Sharma Mataji, who had been a very beautiful devotee from the very beginning. You see, one of her experiences, something that touched and inspired me. So, you see, we both were having the conversation that so far, whatever kathas we have been hearing had been really, really very short. But as we got, means the Sharma family got in touch with the Gaudiya Parampara, we got to understand the real meaning and significance of Shrimad Bhagavatam Katha. That is the fact that I want to establish here, that you see the basic foundation of Dharma is principle and it stays atop the philosophy and stands upright, and it gets propagated only by way of its philosophy and principles. And that is the reason Srila Prabhupada always laid emphasis on the fact you must narrate, you must read, and get engaged in bhajans, but at the same time, you must read the Shastras, the text, and also distribute and propagate these texts. So if somebody was to question Srila Prabhupada that what one must do, then Srila Prabhupada answered that must you distribute books, must you distribute books, must you distribute books, and that is all is the answer of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada only had one concern, that just in case if you meet a person for 2 to 5 minutes, then what can you share with such a person? You see, that person had been committing offenses since quite a long time. So, in the 2 to 3 minutes of conversation that you get with him, just in case you give this living entity a book, then in the times to come, very soon that this book will act as an atomic bomb in such a way that not just this person or this entity alone, but his entire family will transform into Vaishnavas and devotees of Sri Krishna. Further, Srila Prabhupada has said this very beautiful quote. Srila Prabhupada goes on to say that it is the duty of all devotees. Every devotee has a duty that every devotee must give literature in the society so that the people may take benefit from it. And then you see what you see on the screen. Srila Prabhupada said something like this: close down the temples, send everyone out. Imagine somebody, a personality who established 108 temples, but when it came to big distribution, Srila Prabhupada said, close down the temple and send everyone out. So that is the kind of importance and the significance he attaches to book distribution. Because these texts, these shastras, has immense significance. You see the books written by Srila Prabhupada, the text written by Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada has himself said this. Srila Prabhupada says, when you read my books, you are sitting in the divine presence, heart, hearing and speaking. When we follow what is in the books, we get realizations. So when we understand and attempt to read these books, you see, we get the divine association of the acharyas also. Srila Prabhupada says that distributing the books will make the devotees. We will go on to create devotees by distributing books. So if you see the devotees at Iskcon, most of them got transformed into devotees only by way of these books when they got in touch with these books. On another occasion for book distribution, Srila Prabhupada said that the greatest welfare activity for all the people of this world would be the book distribution. So this would be considered as the biggest service. So you see, studying texts and making others also read it and inspiring others to read the Shastras is a very great service. And you see, if an individual starts reading the text, then nobody can
अभी भी उनको
derail him from his resolve. So as long as he's in Kirtan or Bhajanam, there's still a chance of derailment, but as soon as he starts reading the texts, you see, nobody can derail him. So such texts where philosophy and principles are very beautifully enshrined. Once the living entity gets to read these books, his devotion and spiritual life gains lot of strength, and nobody can derail such a living entity. Sri Sukdev Goswami goes to say to Parishit Maharaj towards the end of Shrimad Bhagavatam that if a living entity has a desire of attaining the Lord, the first and foremost thing that he should does is that he must listen to Shrimad Bhagavatam. And then the next step is he must develop the desire to read the Shrimad Bhagavatam. So first he must listen and then he must read, and then after reading he must meditate upon the text, must ponder over the text, and must attempt to learn the text. And in this manner, the living entity would be able to attain the Lord and the devotional service of the Lord. So this way we celebrated in the last week. Books are the basis week. So now with this, let us move further. On the auspicious occasion of Pitru Paksh, we must move into the subject of our Katha, which is glorification and significance of Shraddh Paksh. All the texts, Shrimad Bhagavatam, Sri Ramayan, Sri Mahabharat, they've all talked about the glory and significance of Shraddh. You see, it is a bounden duty of this body to do Shraddh, to perform Shraddh. So, despite being the duty of this body, this has also been mentioned in Shrimad Bhagavatam. Though Lord Krishna elaborated upon the knowledge of the soul in Bhagavad Gita, but the Shri Krishna in Shrimad Bhagavatam himself performed the Shraddh and also ensured his devotees to perform Shraddh in Shrimad Bhagavatam. So this speaks the significance of Shraddh and importance of Shraddh. So after a long time, I'm able to see Adaksh Prabhu. And if I talk about the host family, you see, they have great blessings of their ancestors. So let us today talk about the ancestors, that what is the significance of blessings and of ancestors and also performing Shraddh. So,
ये हमारे जूना जोगी है
so we have before us Jagdish Prabhu.
ये सबके जीते जी श्राद्ध कर रहा हूं मैं तो भगवत गीता में
So in Sri Bhagavad Gita
सैद्धांतिक ग्रंथ है
is a text based on principles. It is said about Bhagavad Gita
गाय के समान है
that all Vedas and Upanishads are just like the Vedas. Then Bhagavad Gita is the milk of that cow. In the beginning of Sri Bhagavad Gita, you see there is in the first chapter itself the glory of Shraddh Paksh is mentioned. So you see the context is something like this. Lord Shri Krishna and Arjun are on the same chariot. Shri Krishna is riding the chariot of Arjun. Arjun is all fully excited to go for the war. So he has his Ganjiv in his hands and braced with all the war weapons. Arjun appears to be ready for the war. So as Arjun reached the war zone, just like a Kshatriya, Arjun ordered Sri Krishna, "Oh Krishna, get my chariot at the middle of the war zone so that I can see who all must be killed by me and must be targeted by me." But as soon as Sri Krishna took him to the middle of the war zone, Arjun saw his entire extended family on the opposite side, and he went nervous and he started giving a lot of arguments to Sri Krishna that, "Oh Krishna, I really do not feel like fighting because they're all my family. And just in case if I fight the war and I become victorious, and after having become victorious, whom would I present the state that I have won in the war? So you see, in a life, you see, why do we, you see, look forward to acquire and accumulate things? Yes, to exhibit it out to others in the society, right? Otherwise, our life could actually go on a simple living model. So Arjun is attempting to convince Sri Krishna that even if I win the state, whom would I show it to? Because all my family would be dead in the war. So this is one of the greatest offense to wage a war against the entire family. Arjun started getting nervous. His Gandhi fell from his hands, and Arjun said to Lord Krishna that, "Oh, Shri Krishna, I do not want to wage the war." Now you see, the story begins exactly here. Supposedly, if we assume that Lord Krishna was to say to Krishna, "Oh, Arjun, that there you say that there is offense in waging the war," then you see, if you feel that there is an offense in waging the war, then why Duryodhan is not able to locate that? And if you forget about Duryodhan, then why is such an offense as not being looked at and witnessed by Duryodhan or Shri Bhishma Pitama or Karna or Dronacharya? Now you see, Arjun and Sri Krishna are friends, and a very beautiful conversation happened between Arjun and Sri Krishna. And acharyas have written very beautiful commentaries upon this. So imagining if one of the acharya was to question, what acharya wrote in place of Sri Krishna, that if Sri Krishna was to question Arjun, that, "Oh Arjun, that only you're able to locate the offense and not Duryodhan or Bhishpitama, etc." Then Arjun replies something like this in Sri Bhagvat Gita in the form of the shloka before you. So this is the reply of Arjun in Sri Bhagavad Gita in response to the question raised by Sri Krishna, why the so-called offense of waging a war, which is stunning across the heart of Arjun, is only being located by him and not by Duryodhan or Karna or Bhishma Pitama. So Arjun now goes on to explain in his favor to Lord Krishna. So Arjun says, "O Shri Krishna, O Krishna." So Arjun says, "O Lord Krishna, Duryodhan or Bhishma or Dronacharya are not able to see what is the offense in waging a war." So you see, the answer also is given by this sloka that in the age of Kali Yuga, that a person goes on to commit offense and offense one after the other. You see, others can see clearly the offense being committed, but not the person who is committing that offense. So Arjun goes on to say that the mind, the intelligence of these people has been abducted by temptation. So you see, the temptation goes on to corrupt our intelligence. The temptation goes on to get killed many a living entities, goes on to push an individual to commit innumerable offenses. You see, the commentators of Shrimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita says that temptation is nothing but an entry to hell. So Arjun now is addressing Sri Krishna, and Arjun says, "O Krishna, people like Duryodhana and others who are waging the war are actually not able to see, they are gone blind. Why? Because of temptation, their intelligence has been corrupted." And Arjun further goes on to say So Arjun goes on to say further that waging a war means that the entire family will come to an end, exterminated. And second offense of waging a war would be the fact that one goes to wage a war against the friend. So it would be a violation of the principle of friendship as well. So Arjun is addressing Sri Krishna something like this. So in So Arjun goes on to address Sri Krishna, O Sri Krishna, because of temptation they have gone blindfolded. They are not able to see the offense, but O Krishna, you and me are able to see this offense. You and me can clearly see the offense embedded in the act of waging a war against the family. Then what reason do we have to wage such a war? Our family itself would be exterminated by this war. Assuming if Sri Krishna would have answered back to Arjun that Arjun, you say that the family would be exterminated, then you tell me what is the loss? What is the problem in the family getting exterminated? So Arjun further goes on to answer Lord Krishna's query. So Arjun says that, O Keshav, O Krishna, that if family gets exterminated and decimated, then the dharma of the family would also be decimated and exterminated. So, by way of tradition, by way of system, from numerous generations, the Vedic system, which had been running by way of generations, that also would get exterminated and grounded. The Kul Parampara tradition, the Kul Parampara system would also be getting extinguished. And if it gets extinguished, then Arjun goes on to say, then adharma will enter into our family. You see, dear devotees, I always make an humble appeal.
लेकिन आपका जन्म जिस कुल में हुआ है, आपका जन्म जिस परिवार में हुआ है, जिस
But the
फैमिली में
family to which you are born, the family in which you have been brought up, and the family in which you have been married, you must follow the principles and traditions of the family. You see, in the name of devotion, many people go on to assume, independent heirs, and they do not even follow devotional life properly, nor follow the principles of the family. So the text go on to tell us that we must engage in devotion and spiritual life, but so long as we do not get spiritually elevated and uplifted, we must follow the traditions of our family. And I want to also enlighten you with the fact that you see, being a devotee, you see, I don't consider us as a very strong pure devotee. So what I want to share with you is that you see, most of the conflict happen amongst the devotees. The fact is that because we do not become spiritually uplifted, and that's the reason we get into conflict. Neither do we follow the principles of the family. So, what you must understand that so long as we have not become very strong a devotee, we must follow the dharma of our family. So, assuming if Lord Krishna was to say to Arjun that, oh Arjun, you say that because of waging the war, the family would get extinguished, and because of which the dharma and the principles will get extinguished, and that adharma would enter into the family. You see, Lord Krishna is all powerful, all empowered, but he's making Arjun speak just like you people who are very strong, elevated devotees, and you're making me speak. So imagining if Lord Krishna was to ask the question to Arjun, that Arjun explain how the adharma enters into the family. What is the entry point for adharma? Dear devotees, I would like to draw your attention here. This is a very important point. Arjun answers to Lord Krishna about how would adharma enter into the family. So Arjun goes on to say, so Arjun says in the form
प्रदुष्यन्ति
screens before you.
स्त्रिय स्त्रीषु दुष्टासु वार्ष्णेय जायते वर्णसंकर.
So Arjun replies to this
अधर्म
query raised
भगवान
by
कृष्ण हे
Sri
कृष्ण,
Krishna. Arjun says,
अधर्म की
O
एंट्री,
Krishna,
अधर्म का प्रवेश कहां से
the
होता है?
entry of adharma
प्रदुष्यन्ति
happens.
स्त्रियः. अधर्म जो है, अधर्म का सबसे पहला वार
So the
हमारी
first and
फैमिली की स्त्रियों
foremost
के ऊपर होता है.
target of adharma is the women of
अधर्म
our
का
family.
प्रवेश जो है कुल की, परिवार की, समाज की बहन और बेटियों के ऊपर होता है.
The daughters and the sisters
इसलिए
of the family are
शास्त्रों
the
ने
first
कहा
targets of
कि स्त्री
adharma, and
की
that is
सुरक्षा
the
करे,
reason
अपनी बहन की, बेटी
Shastras
की
and
सुरक्षा
Vedas have
करे,
said that
क्योंकि
must you
कहीं भी
protect
समाज
and
में, संसार
defend
में
your
अधर्म का
sisters and
प्रवेश स्त्रियों
daughters.
के माध्यम से होगा.
So the entry point for
बहुत ही
adharma
तरीके
is
से
through
फिलोसॉफिकल
women and
सब्जेक्ट है
females in the
श्रीमद्
family.
भागवत गीता के प्रारंभ में.
So this is a very beautiful principle
अधर्म
enshrined in
भगवान
Bhagavad
कृष्ण,
Gita.
हे कृष्ण,
O
अधर्म
Krishna,
का प्रारंभ कैसे होगा?
the beginning and arrival of
प्रदुष्यन्ति
adharma
स्त्रियः.
happens, O Shri
कुल की
Krishna,
स्त्रियां प्रदूषित हो जाएगी.
by way of
मतलब किसी
polluting
समाज
the
में, किसी
females of
कुटुंब में,
the
किसी परिवार में
family.
जब स्त्रियां लड़खड़ाने लगे, जब
So the
स्त्रियों के
point
मन में
is
किसी अन्य
that
पुरुष
if
के प्रति
any
विवश हो,
family, if
जब
in any
बुद्धि
family,
स्त्रियों का
the
मन
women of
डमाडोल
any
हो गया, तो समझो
family
ये
you
कुल
see
का पतन
gets
होने जा
derailed in
रहा है.
terms of their mind and
यदि
intelligence,
अधर्म
one
का
can
प्रवेश
assume
स्त्रियों
that
में
the
होगा,
family is now going to
इसलिए स्त्रियों को
head
प्रोटेक्शन
towards
करना
being
पड़ता है.
doomed. And that
लेकिन
is the
आज की
reason you
स्त्रियां
see the
समझ गई हैं कि
Shastras
मेरी बात
talk
को नहीं
about
मानेंगी.
defending the females.
चलो, कृष्ण ने अगला प्रश्न पूछा कि भाई स्त्रियां दूषित हो जाएगी, स्त्रियों के जीवन में
So,
अधर्म आएगा तो
assuming
क्या होगा?
that
बोले
Lord
स्त्रियों के
Krishna
हृदय में अधर्म आया तो
questions
दूषित हो
Arjun
जाएगी.
that what would happen
लेकिन
if Adharma
स्त्रीषु
enters into the
दुष्टासु
life of
वार्ष्णेय,
women.
हे
So
वाष्णेय,
Arjun
हे कृष्ण,
replies, O
स्त्री
Krishna,
यदि दुष्ट हो गई,
in
स्त्री
case
में
the
अधर्म आ
female,
गया
you
और
see,
स्त्री दूषित हो
becomes
गई, तो
corrupt,
स्त्री से जो संतान उत्पन्न
then you
होगी,
see
जायते
that the
वर्ण संकर,
child
वो
which
वर्ण
would
संकर
be
प्रजा बन
produced
जाएगी.
by
जो
this
संतान
women,
कहलाने के लायक नहीं होगी.
then the
और
children
ये
that
वर्ण
this
संकर को
women
साइंटिफिकली
will
बताया गया
bear
है कि ये गर्भाधान संस्कार से आया है कि ये वर्ण संकर से आया है.
would go on to move
गर्भाधान
towards
संस्कार के
Varnashankar.
द्वारा जो
You
संतान,
see,
इसका कुछ
the
अलग ही
children which
प्रभाव
are
होता है.
sought through
और जो स्त्री
Garbhadan
के जीवन में
Sanskar,
केवल काम, क्रोध और वासना भरी हैं,
is a
वही
unique
उसका बेटा
child.
है.
But the female
उससे जो
in
संतान
whose
उत्पन्न
life
होगी.
Adharma has entered, will produce a
अच्छा,
child
भगवान श्री कृष्ण कहे ठीक है, चलो वर्ण संकर
who will be
संतान
more
तो हो,
inspired by
इससे
one
क्या
Sankar
प्रॉब्लम होगा?
system.
तब
Now,
अर्जुन
if
बोलता
Sri
है
Krishna was to
कृष्ण
ask what is
कि हे
wrong with
कृष्ण,
having a one
इससे
Shankar
क्या
child,
प्रॉब्लम? मुझे
so
ये चाहिए,
Arjun
मैं
goes
ये
on
लूंगा.
to reply that,
इस
oh Sri
स्त्रियों से
Krishna,
वर्ण संकर संतान होंगे
that the biggest
और
reason
वो
for
वर्ण
me not to
संकर
engage in
प्रजा
war
हो
is
सकते हैं.
that you
संकरोधन
see,
का ये वर्ण संकर प्रजा, ये वर्ण संकर संतान जो है, स्वयं तो नरक में जाएंगे, अपने
so
माँ
Arjun
बापों को भी
says
नरक में डाल देंगे.
that the subjects who are Varnashankar, not only that they would head for hell, but
तो
also they would
समझो
put
वर्ण
their
संकर
family
संतान
into problem.
नरक में जाएगी.
So such children
कैसे?
who are
क्योंकि
born by way of
वर्ण
Varnashankar will head for hell.
अकेले नहीं जाएगी, वो अकेले
And
जाएगी
they
तो
would
कहाँ
not do
उतरेगी?
this by themselves. They will
वर्ण
not walk
संकर
into the hell all
संतान,
alone.
चाहे
Rather,
स्त्री हो या पुरुष, लड़की लड़का, वो वर्ण संकर है तो कुल ज्ञानम कुलस्य च, पूरे कुल को नरक में लेकर जाएगी.
so they would not just head towards hell all by
वर्ण संकर
themselves, but they would
संतान
also lead the
पूरे
entire
कुल को
family and
जाएगी नरक
clan
में. यदि
towards
माता
hell.
पिता कुछ पुण्य करके स्वर्ग में गए हैं,
So
लेकिन
even
परिवार
if
क्या
the
बिगड़ा है,
parents had gone to
एक वर्ण
heaven
संकर हुआ,
because
तो
of
माँ
their
स्वर्ग
good
से भी नरक
deeds,
में ले जाएगी.
so you see, and
इसलिए
if
इतना प्रभाव
the
होगा.
child who is the Varun Shankar child,
मैंने
if
कई
he
बार कई
commits
बार ये
offenses,
भगवत गीता का
then even the
वाक्यांश
parents
दोहराया
who are
है
in
कि
heaven would be
ये
transferred back
जीव जो
to hell? So these are the basic queries of Arjun. So finally, Shri Krishna says that Varnashankar children and generation would themselves go in hell and also would become a reason for all parents and others to head for hell.
पितरो ये शाम, वो अपने खुद तो पतन होगा, अपने पितरों का भी पतन होगा. कैसे?
Generation would himself would be degrading and demoted, but at the same time, such Varnashankar children and generation would also stop the pindus. So the last rites and performance of Shraddh, all these would become things of the past in the family of this Varnashankar children. So by this way, such rituals, when they would stop, so these activities will put the ancestors, the departed souls into hell, and such one Shankar children would also head for hell. So you see, these are the days of Shraddh which are going on.
लेकिन क्योंकि हम ये जो वर्तमान श्राद्ध का समय चल रहा है, इसलिए हमारा मूल फोकस श्राद्ध के ऊपर है. तो श्रीमद् भगवत गीता में इसका वर्णन किया गया कि यदि हम श्राद्ध नहीं करते,
So Shri Bhagavad Gita says that in case we do not perform Shraddh, that not just we would head towards hell, but also our Pitru, the departed souls also are transferred to hell.
श्रीमद् भागवत के विषय में भी कहा गया कि भागवत निर्मत्सराणाम सताम, शुद्ध भक्ति का ग्रंथ है. भागवत शरीर धर्म का वर्णन नहीं करता, भागवत आत्मा
You
के
see, Bhagavad is basically a text of this.
आत्मा के धर्म का वर्णन श्रीमद् भागवत में है. फिर भी स्वयं भगवान के द्वारा श्रीमद् भागवत जी में श्राद्ध किया गया. वैसे हमारी मोनिका माता ने कहा है कि बच्चे लोग कथा सुनेंगे, इसलिए ज्यादा हैवी मत रखिएगा.
So Monica Mataji has requested that because children would be listening to the katha, so the content of the katha must be lighter in content. So we will certainly make an attempt that shlokas be lesser and we deliver more simpler and in a easier manner so that it is comprehended by kids. So basically, Shraddh Mahima is meant for kids because it is the kids who will take the tradition forward. So in Shrimad Bhagavatam, Sri Sud Goswami goes on to mention this in the form of the shloka on the screens before you. So Sri Sud Goswami goes on to say,
Gangaya पुरस्कृत्य ययुः स्त्रियः. श्रीमद् भागवत जी ये श्लोक है.
So this shloka comes from Shrimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Sud Goswami goes on to address the Rishi Munis. So Sri Sud Goswami says, after the end of, and what is that it has ended? So after the war, actually, after the end of the war of Mahabharat, one of the biggest war, a war in which everyone participated, some from the sides of Kauravas, some another on the sides of Pandavas, and Lord himself was a party to this war. 18 Akshuriya Sena was there at the war front. And there was such a war. The war was to such an extent that after this war, only Pandavas of 5 people, which is Pandavas, were left. Imagine what kind of bloodstream would have been flowing in this battlefront. But of course, Sri Krishna wanted to establish Dharma. So you see, to extinguish the evil, even the good people have to undergo certain tests. So you see, sometimes to clean a box, when we attempt to clean it, even the box also has to undergo some pressure. So strong war of Mahabharat, very destructive war of Mahabharat. You see, by the mercy and blessings of Sri Krishna, it were the Pandavas who were victorious. At the end of the war, only Duryodhan, survived. You see, I'm talking about the close of the war of Mahabharat. So you see, mother is after all a mother, and you see, she got a message sent to Duryodhan that early in the morning tomorrow in Brahma Muhurat, you come to me without any garment on your body. I will transform your body into such strength that no power of the world would be able to bring even a small injury to you. Now imagine Duryodhan was the only one who was surviving, and in the Brahma Muhurat, in all nude position, he was walking towards Gandhari. Now Sri Krishna was in a confused state of mind that if Duryodhan reaches to Gandhari, then for sure he would get transformed into a very strong body, and I would not be able to establish order and dharma. Now Sri Krishna appears exactly right in front of Duryodhan, and he mocks at Duryodhan that how come in such a nude position you're going in such a nude position, and says, why are you doing this? To which Duryodhan replies that such is the command of the mother. And Sri Krishna now confuses him that he is not a child and she is the mother after all. So now he also offered the leaf of the banana tree. And now Duryodhan dressed himself with the banana leaf and appeared before Gandhari. And Gandhari said, oh Duryodhan, you never listened to me all throughout. At least today you could have. But you see, the part of the body which was covered by the banana leaf uh, did not gain strength. You see, Sri Krishna had actually been able to manipulate. Bhim had actually taken a vow that I would engage in Gada Yudh with Duryodhan and I would kill Duryodhan. So there was the Gada Yudh between Duryodhan and Bhim himself was bewildered that and hit him so strongly on Duryodhan. But Duryodhan, does not even incur a small injury. Now, what to do? So, in the Gada Yudh, the rule was that the third person shall not speak. But you see, Sri Krishna was completely aware that Duryodhan has gone very strong and powerful because of Gandhari. The body of Duryodhan has transformed into strong. Now, Sri Krishna, to establish Dharma, indicated Bhim that Duryodhan has transformed into a very strong body. Must you attack his thigh? The thigh was the area which was covered by banana leaf. Now, Bhim, when he hit the thigh, there was some injury on the body of Duryodhana, and now Bhim got the clue. And this way, Bhim went on to attack so strongly upon the thigh. One after the other hit, and Duryodhana fell to the ground. As he was falling to the ground, Duryodhana urges to Sri Krishna that you are the epitome of Dharma, but what adharma did you do to me? Then Sri Krishna answered that
5 साल का तू पिकनिक में लेकर गया और तूने छल कपट करके इसे जहर के लड्डू खिला दिए और भीम को नदी में फेंक
to
दिया, तब
lecture me on Dharma. Where was your Dharma when you all were kids and you got the poison sweets served to Bhim and you had thrown him in the water? In the Lakshagra, you have planned very strongly to kill the Pandavas. Where was your Dharma gone?
उस कुरुवंश की सभा में हजारों लोगों के
In the
बीच
court of
रानी
Kuruvansh,
द्रौपदी को
amongst
निर्वस्त्र करने का तूने प्रयास
number of
किया,
courtiers, he
नग्न करने का
attempted
प्रयास किया, तब तेरा धर्म कहाँ
to
गया?
disrobe Draupadi. Where was your Dharma gone?
अज्ञातवास दिया, वनवास दिया, तब तेरा
Pandavas were
कहाँ
sent
धर्म
for
गया? आज
Agyatwas
मुझे जो
and
चीज मिली है,
Vanvas. Where was your Dharma
कृष्ण जो
gone then?
कहता है वो धर्म है,
Whatever
कृष्ण बोल
Krishna
देता है
utters is
धर्म है।
Dharma. Whatever
भीम
Krishna speaks
उठाओ
in
गदा
Dharma.
और तोड़ डालो
O
द्रौपदी
Bhim,
की जंगा को।
pick up
और
the
भीम ने ये
Gada
सारी बातें, अब तो भीम को याद आई,
and now
भीम का खून
break
खौलने
the
लगा और
thighs of,
ऐसी गदा
pull
उठाई
away the
मारा कि
thighs
दुर्योधन की जंगा
of
काट दी,
Duryodhan.
दुर्योधन की मौत हो गई।
Bhimji was listening to the conversation and now he
इसी
was
कारण से
completely
भगवान श्री
enraged.
कृष्ण की कृपा
And
से
now he blew
प्रत्यय सेन के
one hit
सांद्र
after the other on the thigh of Duryodhan
कौरवों की सेना
and
को
ripped him apart.
एक छोटी सी नदी नाले की तरह बनाकर पांडव पार कर गए कृष्ण
So
कृपा
in
से।
this with the entire
और जब युद्ध समाप्त हो गया,
Pandavas were
कृष्ण
able
ने
to
एक
cross
वचन
the
दिया,
stream
युद्ध
of
तो सब समाप्त हो गया,
these
युधिष्ठिर
Kauravas very
महाराज खुश हो
easily.
गए, भाई तुम जीत गए, तुम राजा।
So in
तब
this way,
कृष्ण ने
Yudhishthira
सबसे
Maharaj
पहला
was
काम क्या
thrown
किया? ये
on the
प्रश्न
throne of Hastinapur.
नैमिषारण्य में शौनक आदि ऋषि मुनियों ने सूत गोस्वामी को पूछा।
Nasud Goswami was
अब
asked
आप में
by
से बहुत
sages
से
and
लोग ये
saints
कहने
as
का सवाल, शौनक आदि
Namisharanya
कौन
by
है?
Sankadik,
मुझे ये बताइए
etc.
कि भागवत में जहां जहां ये महिमा है, मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं। तो शौनक आदि ऋषि मुनियों ने कहा कि हे
So when Sud Goswami ji was
युद्ध के
questioned
तुरंत बाद
that immediately
क्या
after the war, what
तब सूत
happened? May you
गोस्वामी इसका
please answer
उत्तर
this
देते
to
हैं,
us. So Sud Goswami goes on to answer in the form of the
सूत कहते
shloka
हैं
before you on your
अंते
screens.
संपरेता नाम अथ, अथ माने युद्ध का चैप्टर समाप्त हो गया, दूसरा चैप्टर शुरू होता है।
So the answer is
तो दूसरे
that you
चैप्टर में
see
क्या
the
है?
war is now
समपरेता नाम,
over and
समपरेता माने युद्ध में, समरे समरंगणे, युद्ध में जितने भी मरे हुए थे
so
वो कौन थे? वो पराये तो नहीं थे।
the answer
युद्ध
is
में
that
जितने
all
भी मरे
those
थे
who had
वो
lost
पराये
their
थे।
lives in
वैदिक
the
संस्कृत
war
कहते सुद गोस्वामी
were not
अंते
a
संपरेता
non-family
नाम,
member, rather they were a part of
स्वानाम।
extended family.
वो
So
कौन
Sri
थे?
Sud
स्वानाम
Goswami
से
goes on to
माने अपने
say
लोग थे,
that they were their own
अपने ही
people.
लोग थे। भले
They
बुद्धि
were a
भ्रष्ट हो
part of
गई,
their
युद्ध हुआ, मारे
extended
गए,
family.
लेकिन आखिर तो वो अपने ही थे।
So
कुरुवंश
whatever
में
may
रहने वाले
be
कौरव
the
पांडव
stand
सब
that they had taken,
में तो
but
अपने ही
after
थे।
all they had been a part of our family.
और यहाँ पर फिलोसॉफी सूत जी कहते हैं
And you see,
कि
Sri Sud
कृष्ण
Goswami also
एक वो
goes on to
स्वानाम है
lay
जो
the
अपने
philosophy and
होते
principle
वो
that
अपने
those who belong to
की
their
इच्छा
own
रखते हैं।
family,
किससे? अपने से
after
नहीं,
death,
पड़ोसी से
they
नहीं,
do have some
कोई
desires
हमारा प्यारा
from
मुझे
the
प्यारा
family
लगे, लेकिन वैसे
members.
इच्छा रखे
So they
उससे
don't
नहीं
have
मिलती है।
desires from the neighbors,
इसलिए ये
right?
स्वानाम शब्द
So
बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण है।
the family members who
मैं
leave
इसमें ज्यादा
their
टेक्निकलों
body
में नहीं जाऊंगा,
do have some
लेकिन ये प्रमुख
desires
शब्द हैं।
which they want to
अथ
be
ते
fulfilled
संपरेता
by
नाम,
their family members.
अपने लोग, इच्छताम। आप नेक्स्ट शब्द देखिए, स्वानाम इच्छताम, वो इच्छा रखते हैं। क्या इच्छा
So
रखते
you
हैं?
see, those people
बहुत
who leave
बड़ी
their
इच्छा नहीं
body
रखते
do have a
कि भाई
desire,
मेरे
and
ये
what is their
पुतला दे दो,
desire?
गोल्ड का
See, you see,
चेन
they
दे दो,
don't have very
दे दो।
strong and huge
सिंपल
desires.
सी इच्छा है।
No,
क्या?
they're very simple
स्वानाम उदक
desires.
इच्छताम, उदक माने जल,
So their
और इसके
desire
बाद
is
अपने
that
लोग माने
after
अपने
death,
पूर्वज, अपने
after
पितृ, जिसने
leaving their
जन्म लिया
body,
है,
so these Pitra
स्वानाम
have
स्वजन
this
उदक
desire
इच्छताम, उदक
have a desire of water from their living family members, that my children, my family must offer me some water. Who is thinking this? Lord Shri Krishna is answering this. You see, then Lord Krishna took this vow. So Lord Krishna now asked Arjun that you all Pandavas must come along with me. So Lord Shri Krishna brought all the Pandavas, Draupadi and Kunti, Devi Kunti, brought all of them at the banks of river Ganga. So Krishna here refers to Draupadi. So Krishna brought even Draupadi along with the Pandavas and Kunti Devi and also many other women at the banks of river Ganga, pious river Ganga, and for the purpose of to offer Ganga Jal to their family members. Dear devotees, after leaving the physical body, our ancestors are desirous of water from us. You see, this is a tradition in our Shastras that the living family members go on to arrange water for the departed souls. So you see, try to understand this. Whatever you shall offer does not reach exactly in the same form. For example, when you transfer some money to somebody in the form of check, it doesn't go like a check, but in the form of real money, isn't it? So you see how it goes that we offer the food and water to the departed souls by making Gaumata and crow as the medium, it reaches there. Dear devotees, you might have heard about Taj Mahal. You see, India is known for Taj Mahal. Who built Taj Mahal? Who constructed Taj Mahal? Shah Jahan, in the memory of his wife, Mumtaz Mahal. But who was the son of Shah Jahan? Aurangzeb. And what did he do? Once Aurangzeb finally got his father Shah Jahan imprisoned. And he also stopped supplying food and water to his father. After 10 days, Aurangzeb now goes on to meet his father after 10 days in the jail. So Aurangzeb now talks to his father and he brags himself, "Oh, father, how are you doing without food and water?" So you see, the history goes something like this. Shah Jahan replied to his father, replied to his son Aurangzeb that, "Oh, Aurangzeb, today I feel so pity upon myself that why have I been born in a Muslim family?" So I really feel so grievous that I have been born in this Muslim family, and so high is the Sanatan Dharma, where they also feed the departed souls of their family by water and food. And on the other hand, are you that I am still living and you have stopped the supply of food and water to me. So today I feel pity upon the fact that I have been born in a Muslim family. Had I been born in a Hindu family, forget about my living days. Even after that, I would have been fed with water and food. So, dear devotees, this
कृष्ण
of
गंगा
our
के
Sanatan Dharma that Sri Krishna himself went to Ganga Maya and offered food and water to the departed souls of his family, to the ancestors. So the shloka goes something like this. Lord Sri Krishna now asked all the Pandavas and all the people who had come with him that must you have the water in your hand and offer the water to the ancestors. One Acharya went on to write this that Bhim was very, very friendly to Sri Krishna, and Bhim asked Sri Krishna to sit at the banks of river Ganga. And he said, must you not offer water to Ganga, but rather at the feet of Sri Krishna? So because Sri Krishna was present there, Bhim asked everyone to offer tarpan at the feet of Sri Krishna. So one more principle, one more philosophy gets established here is that if we offer water, food and tarpan at the feet of Sri Krishna, it reaches directly to our ancestors. Hence, this is the dharma of every child that we must follow this tradition. The day this parampara gets ignored, then one Shankar system, and then you see there is no difference between animals and the living entity like us. Bhai Shri Hanuman Prasad Podar used to be the Siksha Guru of my Guru Maharaj. You see, so Bhai Shri Hanuman Podar once was asked by somebody that what is the difference between animals and men? And he answered, Buddhar Bhai answered that Manushya, the humankind, have samskaras. The human life has sanskar. Then you see Shraddh sanskar. So the life of humans is surrounded by these sanskars, and the animals have no samskaras. And to put it in other words, if you ask me to put it in other words, despite being a human being, despite being a man, if you do not follow these samskaras, then there's no difference between man and animal. You see, by way of Vedic system, by way of our, dharma, we must follow these traditions. And if we are not following it as of now so strongly, we must evolve over a period of time to follow it strongly. So you see, many a times this question is raised that you see a child does offer does offer food and water to his parents, but if just in case, if a child has a desire of ensuring that his or her parents and ancestors attain the Lord, then what must be done? So imagining if our ancestors or parents had been engaged in hard work and toiling, could not engage in bhakti, or had committed offense, and the child and the children are desirous of ensuring
लेकिन यदि हमें भगवान की प्राप्ति करानी है तो क्योंकि भक्त
by
तो
way
उच्च
of traditions and devotion, we would be able to feed them with water and food. But just in case, if we have a desire of ensuring that they are able to attain Lord during the Shraddh Paksh, is there any way possible? Then the answer is yes, it is absolutely possible. So if we engage in pure devotion, then certainly they can attain the Lord. And in the same context, you see, we gets to know about this. So let us try to explore this katha, and then we will go for closure for the day today. So Lord Krishna had taken the Pandavas, Draupadi and Kunti ji, and others at the banks of river Ganga. So he got the tarpan done, and people offered it as his lotus feet. So there was hue and cry also. They were weeping also. So everyone got settled, but Yudhishthira Maharaj still was agitated and disturbed. Yudhishthira Maharaj is crying again and again, and he has this grief that because of me, the war happened, that so many females have gone widow, children have lost parents, and the only reason is me.
भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने युधिष्ठिर महाराज के शोक को दूर करने के लिए
Now
तीन अश्वमेघ यज्ञ कराए।
to
बोले मेरे बाप अब तो
remove the
अश्वमेघ
grief
यज्ञ हो गया,
of
अब तो तेरी चिंता से
Yudhishthir
निवृत्ति हो
Maharaj,
जाएगी।
Lord Shri Krishna got three
तीन
Ashwamedha
यज्ञ
Yagyas
होगा,
done. But
राज्याभिषेक होगा,
still,
सत्तर
Yudhishthir
वर्ष पूर्ण
Maharaj
हो
had a
गए,
lot of grief.
फिर भी रो रहे हैं। अब तो युधिष्ठिर महाराज को सांत्वना देने के लिए बड़े बड़े ऋषि मुनि आने लगे।
Now you see,
सूत जी कहते हैं
very highly elevated sages and saints started coming to Hastinapur to counsel Yudhishthira Maharaj and to remove his grief. Vedvyas ji came, Asit Rishi came, Narad ji came, Dhamma also arrived. So one after the other, great sages and saints would come to Hastinapur and attempt to counsel him that must you not weep and must you be now stable. But still, Yudhishthira Maharaj was not convinced. Now, all the sages and saints now invoked Shri Krishna, that, O Krishna, that we are not successful in counseling Yudhishthira Maharaj, and now only you alone can do it. Now, Krishna comes to Yudhishthira Maharaj and says, Oh, Yudhishthira Maharaj, looking at Krishna, Yudhishthira Maharaj goes for a stronger grief that, Oh Krishna, you are younger to me, you won't understand my pain. Shri Krishna says, Oh Yudhishthira Maharaj, if a king performs something for his subject, then there is no offense in it. Yudhishthira Maharaj says that, Oh Krishna, I have not done this for the subject but for myself. Sri Krishna says, Oh Yudhishthira Maharaj, after the war, if a king performs yagna, then all the sins are absolved. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj says to Shri Krishna, Oh Krishna, what are you teaching me? Can you wash the mud with the mud? Can the alcohol do away the intoxication of alcohol? Similarly, just as punya is a karma, similarly sin is also a karma. And hence, you see, the sin cannot be absolved by way of punya. No, I don't agree with you. Oh Krishna, this is not possible. You see, if Krishna had will, or if Krishna was willing, he could have counseled and convinced Yudhishthira Maharaj. But you see, Krishna did not do that because he had a reason of getting an ancestor liberated. So now Shri Krishna says, Oh Yudhishthira Maharaj, for sure you would not listen to me. So now only one individual can convince you. There is only one individual who can convince you, and that is Bhishma Pitama. So let us go to Bhishma Pitama. The doubts and confusions that you have, you must share with him. Perhaps he will give a solution. Now, this proposal of Sri Krishna was liked very much by Yudhishthir Maharaj. So immediately Yudhishthira Maharaj immediately flogged and moved towards Bhishma Pitama. So Shrimad Bhagavatam mentions that Yudhishthira was very much agitated at this point of time because he had the grief of killing his family members.
उस चिंता से मुक्त होने के लिए, ज्ञान को ग्रहण करने के लिए श्री धर्मराज
So in a way, Yudhishthira Maharaj was having a lot of grief, and he was also
कुरुक्षेत्र भी बहुत
fearful of the
कुरुक्षेत्र ऐसा
rebellion
स्थान
of
यत्र देव व्रतो
the
प्रतत
subjects.
जहाँ पर
So
देवों के
now
पितामह भीष्म जी
Yudhishthira Maharaj sets
धर्मराज
from
युधिष्ठिर निकल
Hastinapur to
पड़ा
move
तैयार
towards
हुआ
Kurukshetra.
और उनके अन्य भाइयों को पता चला तुरंत वे भी तैयार हो गए
Now,
तथा
as the other
राजानः
Pandavas got
सर्वे
to
से
know,
सर्वे
they
समुद्र
also got ready
कुरुक्षेत्र
to move towards
अरे हमारे
Kurukshetra.
बड़े भैया कथा सुनने जा रहे हैं, हम भी जाएंगे। भीम तैयार, नकुल सहदेव तैयार,
So
अर्जुन भी
Bhim,
तैयार।
Arjun, Nakul, they all got ready.
जब सब चलने लगे तो कृष्ण ने अर्जुन को कहा, रुक अर्जुन, मैं भी आ रहा हूँ और तू
Now
अपनी
you
गाड़ी में आ
see,
जाना, तू मतलब मेरे रथ पे आ जा।
Lord Krishna also got ready and asked Arjun,
कृष्ण
"Oh
ने रथ
Arjun,
निकाला
why don't you come
और
along
जैसे कुरुक्षेत्र में
with
जैसे
me
अर्जुन को रथ पे
when we are
बिठाया,
going towards
कृष्ण सर आए
Kurukshetra?"
और अर्जुन को पीछे बिठाए।
So Arjun was sitting on the chariot, and that
भगवान अपि विप्र
Sri
रथे
Krishna was
धनंजय
riding.
भगवान भी अर्जुन के साथ रथ में निकल पड़े और कुरुक्षेत्र की भूमि में पहुंचे हैं। लेकिन दृश्य कैसा है मेरे पीछे आप देख रहे हैं, सूर्य ने बहुत सुंदर शब्द का
So you
इस्तेमाल
see, Sri Krishna and other Pandavas reached Kurukshetra.
दिवाश्च्युत इव अमरम, जैसे आकाश में से कोई विशाल देवता गिरा हो।
Kurukshetra is something what is there on your screens, which you can see behind me. So you see, on the bed of arrows, Bhishma Pitamaji was lying. This was the scene witnessed by Pandavas. And right from that distance, the Pandavas offered their pranam to Bhishma Pitamaha.
पांडवों के साथ सुदर्शन चक्रधारी योग योगेश्वर भगवान कृष्ण ने भी पितामह भीष्म को,
And you see, even Lord Krishna went on to offer his pranam to Bhishma Pitama.
बहुत सुंदर शब्द, भागवत को तो ध्यान से सुनो तो वहां कृष्ण के लिए चक्रिणा शब्द आया।
So the term used for Sri Krishna here while offering pranam to Bhishma Pitama is Chakrani. The Lord, who can create and destroy the universe, such all-powerful Sri Krishna also offered his pranam to Bhishma Pitama.
कि तत्र ब्रह्मर्षय सर्वे देवर्षयश्च सत्तमः राजर्षयश्च तत्रासन द्रष्टुम भरत पुंगवम। उसी समय वहां देवर्षि, राजर्षि, ब्रह्मर्षि ये सब लोग खचाखच आने लगे। क्यों? द्रष्टुम भरत पुंगवम।
You see, Brahmrishi, Rajashri started flocking to Kurukshetra so as to witness Bhishma Pitama, Parvat Rishi, Nardashi Dhaumya, Vedvyasji, Bharadwajji, and also Parshuramji with his devotees, Vashish, Indra, Asit, Indra Pramad, Kakshivan, Gautam, Atri, Kaushik. Numerous sages and saints started flocking to Kurukshetra. And the biggest surprise, even Sukhdev Goswami also came to that place. So even Sukh Goswami was present where Bhishma Pitamaji is now going to address. Now, as Pandavas from a distance offered pranam to Bhishma Pitama, and now they came running to Bhishma Pitama, and they sat very close to Bhishma Pitama. And now Sud Goswami says that as he saw his children around him, the old aged Bhishma Pitama, who had been lying on the bed of arrows for 55 days, his eyes moistened and ears started rolling down his eyes. And especially, you see, Bhishma Pitama, started having tears rolling down his eyes because he saw Yudhishthira Maharaj in a troubled state of mind. The eyes of Ishpitama went blind, the vision became blurred because he saw Yudhishthira Maharaj in a bewildered state of mind. Still, Bhishma exercised control on himself, and now he addresses something like this. So he addresses Yudhishthira Maharaj and he says,
बेटा युधिष्ठिर,
"Oh, my son Yudhishthira,
बेटा युधिष्ठिर, चार प्रकार का आश्रय यदि कोई ले ले,
if an individual goes on to
जीवन में
take
दुख नहीं आ सकता।
four
आप बिल्कुल
types
लगे
of
थे।
refuge, then
चार प्रकार का आश्रय लेने वाले के
pain
जीवन
and
में
suffering
कष्ट कभी
will
दुख
never
स्वप्न में
come
भी
to
नहीं
an
देख सकता।
individual's life, even in the
वो चार
distant
आश्रय कौन सा
dream.
पितामह
So, what
भीष्म
are
जी बता
those
रहे हैं?
four
वीर,
refuge?
धर्म, अच्युत,
Pitama
आचार्य।
goes on to say that if one takes,
तीन
actually there are three
मित्र
refuge,
माने
which
गुरु
or
का
three
आश्रय,
shelter, which
धर्म
if
का
an
आश्रय
individual can take,
और
then there will be
अच्युत
no pain
भगवान
and
कृष्ण का
suffering.
आश्रय।
The shelter of Sri Krishna,
गुरु
the shelter of
गुरु का
Guru,
जो
and
आश्रय
the
ले,
shelter of Dharma. These
उसके
three
जीवन में
shelters,
कष्ट स्वप्न में भी
if
नहीं
an
आ
individual takes
सकते।
refuge at these
आप
three,
लोगों ने इन तीनों
then
का
you see
आश्रय
pain
लिया
and
है, तभी
sufferings can
आप
never
लोगों के
come.
जीवन में दुख आए।
And all of you Pandavas have taken the refuge of all the three, then how come how come you're
अब देखो,
experiencing
किसी ने
pain
कहा
and
था कि
suffering?
तुम्हारे बेटे दुखी हैं, युधिष्ठिर महाराज शोक में है, किसी ने कहा नहीं था। लेकिन बाप है ना, बाप को कहने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, माँ को बताने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती। अपने बच्चों की भ्रिकुटी देखकर समझ जाते हैं इसके अंदर क्या चल रहा है।
So you see, you don't need to utter anything before your parents. The parents can know what is running in your mind and heart without you
किसी व्यक्ति के
speaking
जीवन में
anything.
दुख आए ना, उस दुख के तीन कारण हो सकते हैं।
So you see, there can be three reasons for any trouble or pain that might come to you: Matra dosh, Pitru dosh, and also the Karma
लेकिन
dosh.
बच्चों, आपके जीवन में न पितृ दोष है न मातृ दोष
But
है,
dear devotees, you don't
क्योंकि
have
आपके
even the Matra
असंस्कृत
dosh
अति
or
वीर
Pitru dosh
परशुराम
in your life
यथावाद
because
प्रजावधु,
your
आपके पिताजी
father
धर्मात्मा थे,
was a
आपके
great
दादा को
saint.
कभी युद्ध करने की जरूरत ही कहाँ पड़ी।
He never even had the need to wage the war.
महाराज
His
पांडु ने
aura
कभी
in itself
बलबीर
was
को
very,
क्या
very
जानते हैं?
strong. Maharaj Pandu never
आपकी
waged a
माँ
war, and your
कुंती
mother,
सत्य
Devi
साची थी
Kunti,
बेचारी,
is an
सत्य साची थी,
epitome of
उसको क्या जानना
idealism
चाहिए? हस्तिनापुर में आकर
at the
अपनी
place of
माता को
in-laws.
दुख के अलावा कुछ नहीं
Your
देखा।
mother Kunti never saw
जीवन में बहुत
anything
अच्छी
other
त्यागी
than
थी।
pains and suffering.
आज छोटे बालकों
She has
को
sacrificed
बिना
a
फल
lot
के
so
बड़े
far.
बनाया, उनके
She
जीवन में इतना
raised her
कष्ट क्या
children
देखे।
without support of her
सती सावित्री
husband.
नारी, तो न मातृ दोष है न पितृ
So
दोष
there
है।
is no Matrudosh, no
युधिष्ठिर
Pitrudosh.
दुखी हुए कहते हैं कि पितामह,
Yudhishthira
मेरे जीवन
Maharaj,
में
in a
हमारे
weeping
जीवन में जो
state,
दुख आया है,
says to
वो केवल
Bhishpitama, O
कर्म का
Bhishmapitama,
कलंक है।
the pains and sufferings that we had in our lives is
तब
nothing
पितामह
but a
युधिष्ठिर
result of
कहते
our
हैं,
own karmas.
बेटा
Then
युधिष्ठिर,
Bhishmapitama
आपके
replies,
कर्म का भी दोष
O
नहीं है।
Yudhishthira, it is
क्यों क्यों?
not the fault of your
क्योंकि यदि
karmas,
आपके कर्म का
because
दोष होता
had it been the result
तो
of your
श्याम सुंदर
karmas,
कृष्ण आपके साथ खड़े नहीं होते।
then Sri Shyamsundar
युधिष्ठिर,
Krishna
आप
would
हमसे
not have
साथ
been
हैं,
standing
इसका
besides
अर्थ
you.
ये है
The fact
कि
that Sri
आपके कर्म
Shyamsundar
का
Krishna
कोई
is
दोष
standing
नहीं है। अब
besides
आपको क्या
you,
कहूँ
that there
कि
is
आप अपनी
no
ये कथा
Matra
ठान
dosh and
सकते
Pitru
हो,
dosh. And
इस
dear
बात
devotees,
के
even
अंदर
I
कि
want to issue
कर्म
the
का
statement
कोई
to
दोष
you.
नहीं, आपके
The
जीवन में
fact
कोई
that you are
गलती नहीं
sitting
हुई,
in this
क्योंकि जिसके
Bhagavatam
जीवन में
Katha
बुरे कर्म होते हैं
is
वो
itself
कथा
a
में बैठ नहीं
proof to
पाता,
the fact
वो हाथ जोड़कर कथा
that
माला ले ही नहीं सकता।
you see, you have not committed
इसलिए
any
भगवान
sins, or you do not
किसी
have
को भी कोई दुख
accumulated
आता है,
sins.
न मातृ दोष न पितृ
So
दोष
the
है,
pains and suffering that a devotee undergoes is not due
तो
to
कोई
Matra
कर्म
dosh or
दोष हो
Pitru
तो
dosh.
भगवान साथ में ही नहीं होते।
And it's also not
कर्म
karma dosh
कृष्णाम वधूनि
because
धीहि
Lord
नीयते।
Krishna is with the Pandavas.
तो युधिष्ठिर महाराज को कहते हैं कि आपके कर्म दोष भी नहीं है।
So Bhishpitama says that
तो
it
पितामह
also is not the karma
मेरे जीवन
dosh.
के दुख का कारण
Then
क्या
Yudhishthira
है?
Maharaj raises
बहुत
a
सरल
question to
समय है,
Bhishpitama, O Pitama, then what is the
हमारे
reason of
जीवन
the
दुख का
sufferings of our
केवल
lives?
एक ही कारण है,
Then Bhishpitama says the only
हे
reason of your pains
युधिष्ठिर,
and sufferings
तुम्हें दुख
is
देने वाला और कोई नहीं, ये तुम्हारा ही कृष्ण है।
Krishna
युधिष्ठिर,
himself.
आपका दिमाग थोड़ा सा
Nobody other than
ऊंचा
Sri
हो गया, लगता
Krishna
है।
is giving you pains and
बोले
sufferings.
ये
No,
हमारी टीम का
Yudhishthira Maharaj got confused that how come is it possible Sri Krishna, who is supporting us, is the source of all our pains and suffering. Now, Yudhishthira Maharaj was bewildered and confused that how is it possible. Then Bhishma says, forget about you. Nobody so far has been able to understand Sri Krishna. Yudhishthira Maharaj says, somebody might have attempted to understand Sri Krishna. Then Bhishma says that yes, people have attempted, but they themselves got confused in the Maya and also became a part of the pastime of Sri Krishna. For example, Brahmaji or Indradev. So everyone who has attempted itself has got attracted towards Lord Krishna. So Bhishma says that nobody other than Sri Shyam Sundar is the source of pain and sufferings also. So, dear devotees, taking this opportunity of Bhishma, I would also want to say that, dear devotees, you see, you get association of sadhu sant, you engage yourself in the services of Sri Krishna. So you see, you would never ever have any bondage of karma fal.
वाले के जीवन में जो उथल पाथल उतार चढ़ाव होता है वो एक और मात्र एक कृष्ण की इच्छा से होता है.
Whatever pains and sufferings that he or she will have, is all due to the desire of Sri Krishna. Now you might question me that how is it possible that Sri Krishna would desire pain and suffering for his devotees? So basically the answer is that Sri Krishna, by sending certain pains and suffering to us, is actually ensuring us to ultimately get liberated. So you see, this life is just like a dream, and imagining when you are sleeping, some whatever number of the dream comes, it doesn't affect you. So the fact is, this life is also like a dream, and in case we can have some or more dreams, then we would be able to attain Lord Krishna. So by way of giving us pains and suffering in this material world, Radha Shyam Sundar is helping us to attain Him. And you see, that is the reason every time Kunti Maharani said to Sri Krishna that Sri Krishna should ensure more and more suffering and pains in their lives. So Bhishma says that he is Narayan himself. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is the Param Purush. Further, Bhishma says, it is he, which is Sri Krishna alone, who resides in the hearts of everyone. So you see, in a way, Bhishma Pitama is attempting to tell Yudhishthir that, oh Yudhishthir, that fact you are grievous and you are raising such questions, this itself is a desire of Sri Krishna. Now Yudhishthira Maharaj was very strongly confused. Bhishma Pitama continues to say that he is undivided and the epitome. And ultimately, Bhishma Pitama goes on to now say that he is such a personality that even the biggest and the highest of all of the lords, that even demigods cannot understand him. But still, such supreme personality of Godhead, himself walked up towards me, who is almost about to die. I am almost about to die, and that Krishna is coming all the way to offer me darshans. So it is because he has this desire by himself. I sided with adharma. I kept quiet when Draupadi was being disrobed. So Duryodhan did so many sins, but still I kept quiet. I was on the side of adharma. Still, Lord Krishna, has come all the way to meet me in my last final days. So Yudhishthira, tell me, would Lord any time, anyhow appear before a person like me who has committed so many sins? You know why I'm talking about this context particularly? This is for those people who think that our parents, you see, had been engaged in material pursuits and very much busy in the material life. They could not engage in services to the Lord. Then you see, so the point that Bhishma Pitama is attempting to strike at is that I am such a strong sinner and the Lord is still here. It is only His mercy and blessings.
एकांत भक्तेषु पश्य भूपानुकंपितम। हे भूप, हे
So
राजा, हे युधिष्ठिर,
Bhishma Pitama
इनकी
says,
अनुपम
"Oh
करुणा
Rajan,
तो देखो, इनकी करुणा तो देखो, इस कृष्ण की कृपा तो देखो कि मैं अधर्मी, मैं पापी, ये इतना महान, फिर भी वो चलकर
so Bhishma Pitama goes on to say, look at me, look at my status. Despite being such a person, still Lord Krishna has appeared here."
लेकिन आप मेरे बच्चे हो ना, आप लोगों ने भक्ति की और आप लोगों की भक्ति के चलते मुझ बूढ़े को दर्शन देने के लिए आ गए।
So it is you people
श्रेष्ठ
who
ये
have
कीर्तन
engaged
है।
yourself in
कृष्ण ने
bhakti
सोचा,
and spiritual life,
बच्चों,
and it
ये
is because of
पांडव जो
you
भक्ति
Lord
की है,
Krishna
तो
has
उसका
come
जो
to
बड़ा
me.
बाप है पितामह, उसका दादा ही है, तो पांडवों के नाते मैं उनका भी उद्धार कर दूंगा। यदि हम चाहते हैं कि हमारे पूर्वज
So you see, just in case
भगवान का
if we have
दर्शन
the
करें,
desire
भगवान का
that
धाम मिले,
the departed souls of our family, our ancestors, must have darshans of the Lord, then what we must pick up from this shloka, that we must engage in pure devotional service towards the Lord,
ये करूं वो करूं सब जगह नहीं, केवल अपनी श्रद्धा को, मतलब केवल एक ही जगह पर एक स्वरूप में भगवान में पिरो दो।
focusing all our energies towards one
इसी
form of the
शांत
Lord.
भक्ति करने के कारण क्या हुआ, आप लोगों ने भक्ति की और फल क्या मिला? दूसरी लाइन में, यत में आज मैं
So Bhishpitama says
सुकृत
that
असुकृत
because
महा, जब
you
आज मैं फल
engage
भोगने के लिए
yourself
आ
in
रहा
devotional
हूं, तो
service,
साक्षात कृष्णो
and it
दर्शन
is because of the fruits
दर्शन
of
देने के लिए साक्षात
your
कृष्ण ही
devotional
आ रहा है।
service that I, who is
ये
almost about to
जबरन नहीं
leave
कि
this material
मेरी
body,
भक्ति मैंने
Sri
तुम्हें की है
Krishna
तो
has come
अधर्म
all
नहीं
the way
किया,
to offer me
लेकिन आप लोगों की
darshans.
भक्ति और आप
So
लोगों की
because of
श्रद्धा
your
से मैं
devotional
अपना
service, I am able
पूरे
to
पूरे हो
witness
गया।
and have darshans
सो
of
इस
Sri
प्रकार से
Krishna.
यदि
And
कोई
hence,
पुरुष
in this
अच्छा है,
manner,
यदि
if
कोई
any
पुरुष अच्छा
child
है,
has
तो
this
अपने को,
willingness,
अपने स्वजन को भगवान से मिला सकता है,
so if
भगवान
the
की
child
याद
has an
से मिला
willingness,
सकता है।
he can also always
सो हम
ensure
प्रत्येक बच्चों को
that
कर्तव्य
his
दिया गया है,
family,
क्योंकि
ancestors'
हाथ
soul
में ये जो
can
देह लिया है,
attain
हमारे
the
माता
Lord.
पिता हमारे
You
पूर्वजों
see,
से
it is at the bounden duty of each
कर्म
one
है
of us
कि हम हमारे
because we
पूर्वजों
have
को
got this
श्राद्ध
material
दें।
body from
श्राद्ध
our
कुछ नहीं है,
ancestors. So we
भोजन
must
करने की जो विधि व्यवस्था
offer the
क्या है,
Shraddh. You
ब्राह्मणों
see,
को,
so
गौ
there are two
माता
things in
या
Shraddh,
गायों को
that
खिलाकर जो
Brahman
भी
Bhoj
करें,
and
एक
Gaumata
शास्त्र से हम
and
शुद्ध भक्ति
grass
करें।
to the crow. And
केवल
secondly, we
साधारण
must
शाकाहारी
engage
करें कैसे?
in pure
हमारे पास तो कोई और
devotional
फैसिलिटी
service.
मिलेगी खाने पीने की,
So by way of
लेकिन
performing
भक्ति करें
Shraddh,
कैसे?
you see, our
हम हमारे मूल
ancestors
कुटी पे
would get the
चले आते हैं
medium of
भगवान के
this.
धाम को प्राप्त करने
And
के लिए।
through
प्रथम
this,
पितामह
you see,
भीष्म ने अपने
they
मुख
would
से
be
स्वीकार
able
किया।
to attain the abode of
मैंने ग्रहण
Lord.
नहीं किया, लेकिन मेरे
So
बच्चों ने
the
ग्रहण
biggest
किया उसके
example
बाद
is
मुझ बूढ़े
Bhishpitama
को
himself,
दर्शन
who
देने
says
के
that
लिए
I never
महाराज
engaged
राजा
in
को
bhajan kirtan, but
हरिद्वार
because
का दर्शन
my
दिया।
children did, and that is the reason I'm
सो बहुत
able
सुंदर
to almost
श्राद्ध
on the
पक्ष
way
चल
to
रहा है।
attain the
श्राद्ध
Lord.
पक्ष में
It's a
हम
very
इसी
beautiful
प्रकार
Shraddh
से
Paksh is
पूरे
running,
श्रीमद् भागवत में
and
पढ़े,
we would
रामायण,
attempt to
चैतन्य
explore
चरितामृत
the
में पढ़े,
significance of Shraddh
भागवत
Paksh in
पढ़ेंगे
Shrimad
और इससे
Bhagavatam
श्राद्ध की महिमा
and also
जानेंगे,
other
सुनेंगे,
Shastras.
और हम हमारे इन 7 दिन को धन्य करेंगे।
So we would make these
तो
7 days very much
वैसे वैष्णव
meaningful.
मंडली नहीं हुई, तो थोड़ा सा हो जाए, तो इसलिए मैं
So
पहले ही थोड़ा जल्दी ही
let us now have
आप
certain
सभी को बहुत बहुत
questions
धन्यवाद।
because for
सभी
quite
ने
some time we have not been able to engage
इसमें श्रवण
ourselves in
किए,
questions.
और मैं विशेष धन्यवाद देता हूँ हमारे गुप्ता परिवार को,
So
श्री
I
हरिवंश
extend once again my heartfelt gratitude to the host family,
श्री
Sharma
Iskcon
family,
Katha,
who have
श्री राधा
organized
शर्मा,
this
ऐसे सभी
beautiful
पावन
katha.
पूर्वजों की स्मृति में इस श्राद्ध पक्ष में ये सुंदर भागवत कथा का
So
आयोजन
once
किया।
again, my
मैं
heartfelt
अपनी भी
gratitude
आशा शर्मा
to
जी
the
का
Sharma family
डॉक्टर
for
अंजलि
this
जी,
katha in the
उनके
Shraddh
बहन को
Paksh.
संजय जी, कैलिफोर्निया से हमारी मोनिका माता और उनके धर्मपति वंदना माता और उनके भैया गौरव जी, आप सभी को
So, Srimati Asha Sharma Mataji, Dr. Anjali and Sanjay Prabhu, Monica Mataji and Akhil Chabra Prabhu, Vandana Mataji and Shiteshji Prabhu, and the son of Srimati Asha Mataji, Gaurav Prabhu, and his wife Shreyasi Mataji, and also grandchildren Aishwarya, Tushar, Harsh, Ahana, Urmika, Ahan, Sahil, and Arush. So let us bring a close to this session, and we shall meet tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Radhe Shyam.